Hi, I'm Aiman, and welcome back to another video and showing you how to build this aluminum hardtop gazebo. And this is a video after setting up the main support structure. So now we're going to start working on the roof, but before we get to that, we want to take a brief detour, because usually this is supposed to be the last step, but it might be good to do this as the next step after you put the frame together, is securing the posts to the ground. Because once we get the roof on, this whole thing's going to weigh 300 pounds, and depending on how strong you are, you might not have the grip strength to raise this up. You know, each leg you'll probably have to be able to raise up 75 pounds, because the whole thing will be 300 pounds. So this might be a better option if you're not sure how much you can lift, to just make sure you do it now. And so the way that we're going to do it is we already measured out where we're going to put it. It's kind of a tough fit, because we want to be able to get it into the meaty part of the patio stones, and we don't want to get it on an edge. Although you can see that, you know, it's not perfect. Like, this one's still kind of almost at an edge. As long as it's, I mean, even if only one leg is in the grout, it's not super bad, as long as it's secured to the other three. But we're going to secure it now using these anchors that come with the rest of the hardware. So these are expansion screws, so they actually, you tighten them and they're supposed to expand and anchor it into the masonry. But in order to drill these holes, we're using a drill with some masonry bits. We literally just got these for this job. So we're trying to use 3/8 inch bits. First we start with a 1/4 inch bits to make a pilot hole. Then we do a 5/16 and then a 3/8 inch bit. And then actually the hole's kind of a bit bigger than the 3/8 inch, so you might even want to go a bit higher than that. But then after that, we've actually been able to get 2 of these anchors in. So it's worked fine so far. And we're going to get the 2 other ones in. And then after that, we're going to go around and mark each of the pilot holes. And the reason we don't do it at first when we do this first one is because we want to make sure the entire thing is aligned before we do the other 2 anchors on each pole. But just to demonstrate, I already showed you that we did this pilot hole. So we're going to take this drill with the 5/16 bit and expand and make that hole bigger. Might be useful to, actually I don't know if this is a wet bit, but I'm just going to put water anyway. Alright, so you can see I penetrated into the ground. Really, we don't need to penetrate as far as the anchor goes. Although I think it was already that thick to begin with. Alright, so let's try to expand that hole. Alright, that already went through. That was very interesting. So you can see right now, it's actually almost fitting. We might even be able to hammer it down, but just to give it a tiny bit of an extra fit, we're going to just rub the sides of the walls for a bit. And that should give it a tiny bit more clearance. Alright? Don't want to make it too loose, because then the expansion screws won't work. You can see I also have sunglasses on just for a tiny bit of protection. They're not safety glasses, but they're good enough. Okay? And so, ideally, we should be able to, uh-oh. So that's what you don't want to happen. You don't want it to go all the way down. So we're gonna get pliers and get that out. But the idea is that you want it to sit kind of on the ground with the thread poking out. Put the leg on top of it, and then put the washers back on top. Okay, so I was able to pull it out using these needle nose pliers. While we're here, we can actually understand how this works. So this is at the bottom, this flared base. So this goes on top, and when you screw it, it's kind of like a crush washer. Kind of expands out because of that flared base. As you push down on this, these sides are gonna flare out and they're gonna grab onto the concrete. So again, you wanna make sure that this is only a step that you do on a patio stones or tarmac or concrete. You don't need to do this on wood. So if you're putting this on a deck, you could probably just use a normal, I think they're called like lag bolts or carriage bolts. Or anyway, you just need to secure them to the wood. And that's much easier than securing them to patio stones, because with patio stones you have to use like anchors. But anyway, now that we are here, what you want to do is under this space is kind of hollow, so you want to fill that up with like gravel or dirt, anything to support this as you put it in. Okay, so it actually does need a bit more concrete, but just a tiny bit more. Okay, and then that's about what we need, because that's how much this part goes down. And then we're gonna put the nut on top, and then that's gonna lock it down. So as you can see, it's a bit of a, this is probably one of the parts of the process that takes the longest, is securing it down. And you're gonna have to do this 12 times because there's 3 on each leg. But that in itself, I think, is a video, because some people might be interested in this. So this step can either become after you install the main structure, or at the end of the entire process if you decide to lift up all 300 pounds of it. So it's up to you guys. Let me know what you decide to do in the comments below, but we'll actually save the doing the roof for another video. Okay, so I'm Aiman, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.